Hello, Olivia. Thank you for the 27 months. God damn, it's like 2 years and 3 months. My goodness gracious. You've probably known each other for longer, but hey. No, you're amazing. I'm just a little old me. But how about you guys? Have you been? How you doing? It's our weekly stream because it's exam season and I'm getting my ass kicked. Today we're in April, the 4th month, which is crazy to see that we're like 4 months deep into the year. I got drunk last night. You did? Really? How was it? Was it the experience of a lifetime? Also, today we're playing Stardew Valley because I was supposed to play it last week, but I ended up spending most of the stream downloading mods and playing Valorant. So we're actually playing Stardew Valley this time. But one of my portrait mods are not working, so we're gonna fiddle with that. Honestly, getting drunk to celebrate, especially the end of a school year, but I don't know if it's the end of your school year, Olivia. Because, see, B-Man's still in his school year. I'm nearing my end of school year, so it's weird. I'm gonna open our games for the day. Our Wordle games. Oh yeah, it was the Girls and the Gays musical. Oh my gosh, that's actually really cool. I've been wanting to have a Girls and the Gays time. No guys, no dudes. These are gross. I have a month or so left. Really? So you finish in like May? June? Are you graduating this year? Is that liable to say? Hard mode? I can't even do regular mode. If I ask too many questions that end up doxing you, just tell me to stop. Okay. You have the eye. Olivia, did you do the Wordle? I feel like you've already done the Wordle. How long have you been up for? I need to update the Discord. Wait a second. I need someone to update the Discord for me some of these times because I fucking forget. Hey farmer besties, we are live right now and are playing Stardew excuse me, Stardew Valley again today because last time I did y'all of so cool farmer it to you today. Stop by and these together that okay. Cool. You know, I shouldn't even be streaming because I have 2 assignments due tomorrow. An exam next Thursday. So I should be studying, you know, but this is just gonna be a short stream. I don't know how short. I don't know if it's like gonna be less than like 2 hours short or just like right on 2 hours type of short. But it's not gonna be long. It could be long. I always say it's not gonna be long and then it ends up being long and then like Everyone's fucked up. Okay, we did that. P-I-N-E. Pine is too short. P. No. It's not dime. Definitely not dime. That's all of the letters we do. It's not hinder. It could have been hinder. F-I-N. No. Boo. Oh my goodness gracious. Don't sneak up on me like that, Faye. Fucking scared me. Jeez. How are you? Finch? I hope it is. No. Finch? Wow. How the hell did you get Pinch? How long have you been here? No, absolutely not. I'm not revealing my email. Good job, Faye. Ooh, now with Clove, that's a slay. I don't know this one. You're welcome, miss. Thank you. There's two people three actually I could rely on for Wordles. You, Dre, and Olivia whenever she's here, because I stream early as fuck. I don't know. I'm just gonna guess Pearl. Okay, stop her. I'm doing okay. Oh, how about you? I'm tired. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There's just a lot of stuff going on. But I will bother you with guys that. Here we play games. Oh, slay. Faye, are you in exam season? Do you guys even have exam season? I need to learn how the other people's. This is a slay. Other people's school system works. To female. This is Yoru. Oh. Yoru. No? Damn. Chamber. No? KO. No? Womp 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 womp. Raise. Hi Mello. How are you doing? Boombot. Womp womp. I saw you playing. You know, okay, this may expose me. I keep I don't keep tabs on people, but I keep up with people. And I saw you playing Borderlands. I'm just like, that's a slay, because I love that game. I don't know this one. Nope. We're just gonna keep guessing. I'm not sure. TBH, most people here do A levels, which have exams. My Christy project. Ah. Would you ever do like an A level thing? Let's do this. Neon. No. I'm still playing Borderlands. I know. How is it? I assume you're enjoying the game. Are we talking with haven't slept mellow yet? Oh, I did sleep a little bit mellow first, and then we can alter. Who are you playing as? I feel no. No, I watched your stream. Aren't you playing as like not the big dude? What's his? I don't know his name. He has like a pet. How are you so bad at guessing? Cause I just don't know the colors. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's being bad at stuff. No, my course is like an alternate route to A levels. That's a slay. Let's do this. Phoenix? I don't know. See, actually, I'm just going to uni college after this. Oh, I see. Are you excited for that next step? How many more years until that? Can I ask that? I'm just interested. Because then you do like one thing and then you have to do like another set of schools, you know, it's crazy. Raise? Honestly, I wish. Yeah, I haven't slept yet, but yeah, I was playing FOK. Ah, I see. Have you eaten at least? Hey, if you don't sleep, you gotta eat. If you don't eat, you gotta sleep. That's like the trade-off you have. But yeah, I was playing FL4K. That's his name? Borderlands 3. It sounds like a KO. What's a KO? Wow. It's so sick. Okay, we're playing Stardew Valley now. For real this time. Although we're gonna see if my portrait mods are working, and then we're gonna... I'm playing Borderlands 2 right now, doing a stupid? What's a stupid? I've never played 2. You know, I should play 2. I said one time around like last year, I said I was gonna play Borderlands 2. That happened like for an hour stream with like B-Man, and I just never played it again. Play for free until 4. Have you guys played Elder Scrolls? What is this? What if I became one of those like RPG stream players? Oh, play for free, ends in 2 days. I mean, I could play it. Should I play Elder Scrolls? I'm gonna keep this open. Oh, look, it's Stardew Valley. $169 days. What? That's less than a year. 9 hours and 14. Why do you have an exact thing? That's so long until my first day at uni. Oh my gosh, uni is in 3 to 4 years. Oh, uni is 3 to 4 years. Ah, I see, I see. Okay, we're gonna go to one of my other... Actually, no, wait, I have to go back. I'm playing through 2 using only gear gotten from mission rewards. I don't think that's a... You said it was stupid? No, that's actually a smart. Visible fish. Super foolish. Okay, this isn't... Okay, DC Breakers. What in the world? No drops, chests, or buying guns, only reward gear for me? How has that been going, Mello? Is it like okay? I want to show you guys what the portrait mods look like. Hi Dre. I saw that Rematchable Rasmodius. Shush. I only put that when I had his mod. And he was... I think I had that thing for emo boys. He looked... Mwah, chef's kiss. But now he just looks old again. Because he was like a younger Rasmodius. They didn't update the mod and I was so sad. Didn't notice you were live till you started playing Stardew. Oh, you're playing Stardew too? I just have like a planning calendar. Oh, countdown option? I see. Okay guys, ready? Look. This is what the mods look like. Yeah? Okay. So, we're removing the mods for now. Internet here is kind of doo-doo, so I'm gonna change the phone. What did you do to Sebastian? Listen, Linda. Listen. I think for some reason it's working for some people, but it's not working for others, and I'm one of the others that it's not working for. So one of the visual mods I have, there's DC Portraits, and there's also another one that I downloaded yesterday. But they require PY a polyamorous whatever toolkit, and it's not 1.6 updated, or like it's not the new. Oh, it shows that Dre is playing Stardew Valley. It's not the new version updated, right? And it doesn't accept the light version. Therefore, the portraits are not working. And I can't see the cute characters. And so they look fucked up. Sebastian doesn't have a portrait. Alex's portrait is blown out of proportion. Penny's portrait, not even there. So I can't do portrait mods as of right now. I don't know how to disable it. We're just gonna take it out of the file. Me back? Jay, you missed my whole explanation about why my fucking portrait mods are not working. Do you use portrait mods, Jay? I feel like you do. PYTK, whatever the fuck it's not working. It no work. So I don't have portraits. It's okay. We just take portraits out of portraits. Portrait mother folder. These portrait mod depends on the mod. There was a mod that I downloaded yesterday that was like a newer one. But there's also DC burgers, so I don't know if it's just because DC burgers. So this is the portrait mod. Either you drop in a mod file or the portrait folder. Is that what it's supposed to do? Cause I had the Mellow said for the last 7 hours I've been stuck using level 3 to 5. Ew. You need to defeat some bosses. Oh my brain's melting through my ears, but we keep going. Have you taken a break? Mela, I think you deserve a break. And then you need to defeat some harder bosses, but that's gonna be difficult with like lower level guns. I've done both kinds. Some mods at least. Dropping in both. Does it say CMD when you boot up again? CMD? Okay, I guess we're gonna solve this well. Because Dre knows what he's doing. I don't. I'm gonna leave DC Burgers out because I feel like DC Burgers is the issue. We're gonna open specifically on your portrait mod. Okay. I'm gonna open that back up again. I'm new to this, I'm sorry. I was never a girl in STEM. DC Burger says DC Burger is CP. And then I put some in. I don't know why I have 2 portrait folders. Rin? Who's Rin? Abigail. Non-contact pack folders go here. I don't know what this is. Like the black pop-up when you boot up Stardew Valley. Oh, that one? I opened the game and I thought that was the one you were talking about. Hold on a second. I'm gonna put DC Burgers back in its original folders. Budget mod. DC Burger Budget. Okay, I opened the game now. Breaks makes Mellow. As someone who doesn't take breaks, it's good. It'll help you. Like your brain will like thank you. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my thingy so you guys can see my display. Crazy. I love adding mods to Stardew, but I get full shares of Mellow. What's your favorite mod? Do you see the update again? The fuck? Stop it. You can update and then oh my goodness. Tractor mod? I'm not updating this. I'll do that afterwards. Do I need to update content patches? Also, careful to put it in the right file location because there's portraits and characters too. Portraits, mortraits. If you find portrait mod on red, it didn't upload it. It didn't load. I don't have any more red anymore. It's just this, and it says I'm using PYTK Lite. PYTK Lite doesn't work, but it should tell you how to fit. I have to update content patcher. Is that the reason? I'm gonna update content patcher. Let's open content Nexus mods. Nexus mods. Which one is the portrait mod? I had two DC portraits, which has CP, which I guess is content patcher. And then I had another one. I forgot the name of it. Last updated April 6th. Great. Okay. We'll download updated content patcher. The one that I downloaded yesterday, people said to put it in the portrait mod. But I got two fucking portrait mods. Portrait folders. Ignore me saying portrait. Put it in the portrait folder. But I have two portrait folders. I don't know what the fuck I did wrong. It's okay. I shouldn't have opened that. I need to turn this off. Wait a second. This is getting turned off. Why did I need to open it? Okay, I needed to open up this. Try opening Stardew Valley's good at. Oh yeah, that's what I do. Hold on. I need to hide some stuff. It should have a bunch of. And what in the world? Hello? Oh my gosh, is that D Ice Kazu Latte? It's been a while. Hello, how are you? How's your my Steam is bugged. No, I fixed it. Have you been doing any star railing? I feel like I ask this every time. Ignore me. Okay. If you guys see anything, no you didn't. Okay? Deal? You're not gonna see this VOD afterwards. Or rather, I'll upload this VOD on YouTube. Deal? Shake my hand. If you don't shake it, you're in trouble. Okay? Deal. These are my mod section, yeah? Of course I play every day. Really? Are you on that like Archeron wave? Okay, this is my mod folder, yeah? I need to frameworks. Okay. Content patcher. Fuck. Replace it. Great. Yeah? We go back. And then okay, we go to my content. Yeah, look, I get a portrait mother folder. The portraits, because the girlies say that you're thinking in portraits, but I didn't want to get rid of the regular portraits. No, I'm trying to get Luocha. Really? But Archer Mommy? I've been using your Luocha. You're the one that's been giving me fucking thousands of credits. I stopped playing for like 3 days and I come back and I get like how many thousands? I'm like, who the hell is using my characters? My characters are not even that good. I'm glad you enjoy my Luocha. I got you, Homeschooler. Thank you, sir. I use your characters too, so I think it's a fair trade. Okay, listen. I've been getting 16k. 16k, are you crazy? Okay, look, this is my first portrait. Yeah. This is my second portrait. Who was the fuck? Who is this? Who's Ren? Regular portraits? Okay, hold on. I think I did. Okay, hold on. No, I remember what I did. Okay, I lied. I remember. I have two technically mother folders. I'm so happy I pulled for her and I let her get petals off me. Petals off you. Anyways, I cut off a portrait using G. Did you call me G? Okay. What are the... hold on. I'm fucking confused. Answering machine? There's different portraits because when you press B, when you press P, it can change your portraits, you know? So, supposedly this is portrait mods. This is a mod. Yeah? Okay. This is also another mod. Because this is... Actually, no, but this is winter. But this one says this. So this makes me think this one's a mod. Like, what's the name of the portrait pack you're using? I don't know. I should look. I'll look. Mods. Recent activity. I couldn't tell. Okay. 564 pages of mods? That's gross. It doesn't show me the ones I did yesterday. And I deleted all of them from my pro, I'm gonna be honest. Okay. One I know is CP. What? Why are you crying? I'm gonna check the page. Don't cry, Kazu. Why are you stressed? One is CP portraits. Another one is Rin portrait mods. This one. I don't know what this is. I think this is the regular portraits. Who told me to mod my game? Okay. I'm gonna put this rare content. I'm lightheaded. Oh my goodness gracious. I shouldn't be doing this. Is this why I didn't go into computer sciences? Rin's portraits. Okay, slay. Yeah? Hold on. OMG, did you see the mod we can... Yes! Kazu, do you play Stardew Valley? I'm not even gonna romance him. I just think it's funny. Should I download it? Is it... Okay, is it a type where Gojo is like a different like character? Like they replace him? Or... It's, what's it called? He's just an added on character, like, you know, in Expanded. Because I put, do you know the Astarion one? I put Astarion, so now Aaliyah is Astarion. Yeah. Nah, but I'm in the know. Ah, I see. Kazu knows stuff. If he knows stuff, then Kazu knows it. Okay. Remember this, guys, please. I think this is another mod. I think these are the regular portraits. No, these are the regular portraits. What the fuck is this then? Okay, so we're gonna take regular portraits and shimmy her over there. And then put her in the portraits mother folder. What is this? And portrait, this portraits. Are those the those is okay. Internet dude is taking. It's okay, Jay. Don't have stress. I just don't know why I have like 5 different portraits. Cause I'm thinking this one is a mod. I just don't know which one it is. Can I actually look at it? Will that break the game? Because it says non-content pack folders go here. But this one doesn't. Okay, what are we gonna do is this portrait. We're gonna rename it portrait. Maybe mod. Bro, I tried searching for portraits to find your portrait mod and it showed me nude one. That's what? That sucks. I think you got the wrong one. Or maybe I got the wrong one. Sometimes I don't know what I download. Okay. Okay. We open Stardew Valley again. Yeah? Now that we have content patcher updated. Kazu, what's your pity? Are you close to getting Lil Ultra possibly? Okay, girl. Found it, I think. Did you? I'm gonna check the files. Yes, sir. Hydrate? Is that D-Cured Mitoko? Hi, Killer. Yes, I hydrate. I should have hydrated. I feel my brain is going like spam, click the letter E in Stardew. Okay. Is that before? Oh, wait, hold on. I fucked it up. At the first menu? Y'all want to see what happened? Look at all that red in the background. Okay. You said on the menu, spam click E. How are you doing, Karen? How's work going? If you just want to like, that's fine. But I also hope you're doing well. Is this supposed to do something? No, the letter E. I am clicking. In Stardew? Like the thing? In the screen? This... Oh, this one? This E? Spam that? My goodness gracious. Stop. Handle these. Kozu, Faye, he didn't specify. Oh my gosh. Sorry, he didn't. He says spam click E. This is why you shouldn't. One of the screws, I forgot which one, but it does. Screw? I don't have screws. Oh. The fuck? This is why I'm not allowed to play Stardew Valley. Is that all? I kinda like those. I'm a simple woman. Like the screws of the letter. I forgot which one, but okay, it's okay. We'll. Okay. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna close the game. I need to verify my files and then hopefully it works, because whenever I put on some mods, also rinse portrait, just get the PNGs or replace. Like, hold on. I'm gonna open up the Browse local files. Mod, like in the thingy itself. PNG should be in the zip file. These ones, right? It should work. And then we replaced no TBH. Someone said I can just place them in the portrait thingy. Although I didn't read portraits. And then put them here? I don't know, because these ones are XMB file. We'll rock with those. We'll just want to get the regular portraits working. We'll rock with those for now. And then maybe like afterwards I'll do those. Browse local. Actually, no, not browse local files. I need to properties. No. Installed files. Verify game integrity. 99 files will be acquired. Slay. And then we'll do that again. And then all of the whatever I fucked up, it worked. 4,125 files successfully validated. I'm gonna open up Rin's portrait mod and see what it says we have to do. RIN Rin. Rin's portrait mod bachelors. Unzip and move Rin's portrait folder into Stardew Valley mods, portraitures, and then oh, we have to put in. We have to put in portraiture. However, modding is a headache even for modders. Oh my goodness. I'm just the girl. Especially in larger games. You know, like those, like, can't you mod like Elden Ring or those games and stuff like that? You see, this is loaded portraits for vanilla. Oh, loaded active presets for source. I'm one. Dre's a modder of more complicated games. Nope. See, it switches between. Oh, what the fuck? Yeah. That's which HDP? I think that's DC Portrait Mod. I think DC Burger's Portrait Mod is the thing that's fucking up everything. And then for like, it's gonna take a while to show you all of them. I'm just gonna remove DC Burger Portrait Mod. But then, what is the other one? Olivia's on Stardew? Oh my goodness. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. HD Portraits Published is a mod, a framework that required but there's nothing on its own. So it says that for Rin's portrait, it's like Stardew Valley mods, portraiture, portraits, Rin's portrait file. So Rin's portrait files should be in portraiture. Move Stardew Valley mods framework. Here's portraiture portraits. Stardew Valley mods portrait Rin portrait file. Okay, so Rin's portrait file should go there. I don't know how to specifically disable mods within the mod folder, so I'm gonna, and if that doesn't work, we're just gonna play with no portraits. Okay, let's validate the files and then properties. Can you click Rin's portrait mods and check the installation? No, Jay, this was happening before I downloaded Rin's portrait mods, so I don't think it's because of that. It's something I've been struggling with for like since last week when I first started doing the mods. Unless it could be because I have like a duplicate of another mod. The portrait mod too. Honestly, that's what I'm thinking it might be. Manage. Browse local files. Maybe portrait mod could also need backups. Backups? What backups do we need? I have my characters. My characters are there. Like I should file sorry, wrong word. Oh, I see. Me EP, why don't you go to sleep? Okay. So if there's portraits, might be double portraits. That could be. I have 2 portrait files. It's just the hard thing is finding out which one it is, because there's like a file that has non-content pack folders go here, which is what's flicking me over. Me try to help first. Aw, he's so sweet. Mr. Okay, hold on. This might be it. We'll remove this one. DC breakers. I'm gonna see if there's a specific place this needs to be. For more information, how to install the latest version. Yep, extracts. Put the PNG image inside Stardew Valley mods portraiture. Okay, hold on. Stardew Valley mods framework. Portraiture. Portraits. And then DC Burger folder. I wouldn't know how annoying it is to mod without someone who knows the mod. You'd probably be living like your first ever, like how you like first started getting into modding through me. Okay, I installed all of those, hopefully. Just run the game using Smappy, press P in the game till Alex. Okay. Is it just like certain specific mods need to go in there and others don't? Just check the some B files or the portrait checker. Just check the portrait mods, and if they have XMB files or portraits, just drag and replace the portraits. So do they have to be in both the portrait folder and the mod folder? Because these ones, like say the Rin's portrait and the DC burgers, say you need to put it in the mods and then specifically the portraiture section. No, but you can leave them in the mod folder. So they can be in both sections? Ew, this is stinky. I should just play vanilla Stardew Valley. Okay, then. So then you put the PNGs in and then you take out the XMB files? Hey boy. It's always my thought when modding fucking vanilla time. Honestly, because modding before the update was perfect. I didn't have to do all of this. I just drag and dropped. But there's like so many other things. Okay. Yeah, just replace XMB files in the thing. I'm not doing that for all of DC Burger portraits. That's too many. Portraiture, portraits. Rin's portraits. I'm gonna copy and paste that to my desktop and then. So there's two files. Okay. In the portraits. Imagine I get another portrait. Oh, have you used the anime portrait before? Okay. I have. What's your favorite one? Like, so there's these portraits that is the exact same as this one. The only difference is this. So I'm like, I think we take this out. 2022. Yeah, drag that into actual files. This one? I have seasonal portraits as of now, which changes. Oh, like drag that to portraits and replace all. Oh, to here? Like this portraits? Yeah, okay. It didn't replace all. Okay, hold on. I'll do this. Open this. Okay. Shouldn't have done it this. Okay, I can. Oh. And then do like this. Replace files in the destination. Control copy then paste. Slay. Control A is Kozu. I know it does, but that only pops up in my mind when I'm working on Google Documents. Any Uzis. We delete this file. And then this is. Okay, so that was another place. Okay, so that was the same as the other one. I see. So this one we can remove. LOL Kozu Boomer. I'm not that old. Okay, so we can remove this one because that was the same as the one we just did. I recommend you not delete the file, but oh well, it's gone now. Oh, like the folder? I have 2 of them anyways. Now try running it and hope for the best. Do I still have to replace like Wynn's portraits for the like these ones? Or do I have to replace with like regular portraits? This hurts my head. Okay. We'll just run it and hopefully it works. We'll deal with Wynn's portraits. Only 1 portrait can be active at a time. I know it says you can press P to like change them, but it's not of our worries right now. Properties. That part's hard. So that's what we don't do. Is validating my files. Okay, slay. My files are validated. Okay. We open the game now. Fingers crossed. If not, then that part's when you give up and settle with 1. I just want my bachelors to look emo and look like they're mewing like 25/7. It said 6 portrait mods because it's an empty folder. That's okay. Like Minecraft texture pack, they can be active but not really. The only texture pack I have is like what's it called? The shaders. And then someone had to help me put that in, but it's okay. We don't talk about. We should have like a modding starter, learning modding starter stream. Here's a moment of truth. The mods don't work, but the pictures do, and that's all that matters. It's okay. I'm fine with this. Oh wait. Should I have pressed P? Bro, man, I could have pressed P. I can't. No way, I can't. Sebastian, please. Exit the title. I don't know if I... Hold on, we'll try it. If not, then I'm just gonna play without portrait mods. It's okay. At least, Jay, you helped me solve the problem about why my regular pictures aren't working. Oh! I had to press P. Oh my gosh, Jay, you're such a fucking lifesaver. Oh my goodness. DC Burger doesn't work, but it's okay. We have mewing Sebastian. Okay, that's just like... It's okay. You guys want to see the other characters? Let's fucking go. Let's go. Thank you. You should realize we're gonna have to wait till everyone else wakes up. And look, oh, I have to get my hoe. Those thingies, it helps you find like the worms in the ground. Like DC Burgers, I think is the same thing, but it'll need you to like change the file names on both of them. Okay, I'll find it so you can have both. I'll worry about that next time. Where's my hoe? Because then wouldn't you have to like... Would you have to put it in like... See? And they get the artifact. Yeah, but that actually needs... Really? For DC Burger portraits? Why does it need coding now? It was so easy beforehand. I've coded and it's not fun. It's okay, Dre. Kent is just regular old Kent. Ew. In these codings, you can check the files directly and change. Ah. Oh, look. Ready? You can drag and drop DC burgers instead. Into the portrait folder? I think that is already DC Burger high res. That's not DC Burgers. Yeah, and it'll do the same thing. Wait, did I say into the portrait folder? Okay. I'm gonna wait until 8:30 and then I'll show you Sam and then I'll do that and then hope fingers crossed it works. It's Rin's portraits? Oh yeah. I don't know how you're able to see Rin's portrait but not DC Burger's portrait. Because is it just that DC Burgers has to be both in the same area? Sam, open up. A diamond. Because Riz portrait is just in portraiture. And it's set to do the same thing with DC Burgers, but DC Burgers is not working. I think it's because you dragged Rin's instead of DC Burgers. Into portraiture? Where's your brother Elliot? That's not Elliot. Vincent. By the way, if you open that same can, after saying you still get... Really? Oh yeah. This makes me want to romance Sam. Anyways, okay. Sam fucking mule. Sam's a fucking stud. I don't know who else it is. Alex. I'll show you Alex. I hope Alex is outside playing football. Elliot? Yes. Okay, it's fine. Sorry, Penny. I don't know where Elliot is though. Oh. No, because it's Astarion. It's not Elliot, it's Astarion. Because I switched them. Elliot, I think opens Utopia. Ah. Alex is the only one who's up here. I respect Alex and no piercing. I wonder if it switches the portraits. I don't know if I'm friends with Elliot though. Lewis? I want a waifu mod now. You should get it. Fuck it. I'm portrait modding tomorrow. His name is Astarion. This picture's not Astarion. What? It's okay, I'm fine. You should you do definitely should portrait mod. Yeah, replaces because you changed the file. I'm just gonna remove the Astarion file. I couldn't be bothered. Okay, let me open up Stardew Valley's thingy. Browse local file. Alright. So, see, so it goes to mods, and then it works. If you want him to say Astarion, just drag the file back after paste. If you want him to stay. Oh. I don't understand what you're saying, but yes. Hydrate, yes sir. OMG cozy hacking. Yeah. I'm learning how to hack into your Twitch account, Cube, so I can stream as Cube Mommy. How are you doing? Cube, I've been like lurking in like 90% of your streams recently. Coming back to start after Sunhaven spawning with jumping mechanic. Really? You can ask. Really? Can I actually stream on your account, Cube? I'm gonna trick everyone. I'll be like, oh my gosh, Cube. I'll be like, hi, yeah. Yeah, def. I don't care. Don't say that, because I'll literally do it after my stream. I'm doing good. That's great to hear. See, so DC Burgers is here, right? And Rins is only here, but how come Rins is only working? Oh my god, I'm sorry for that. What are you sorry about? Yeah, I'll give you the stream code right now. Deadass? I just want to see the reaction. Yeah? If you feel comfortable, yeah, that would be funny. It's all your fault for, and also I'm doing okay. I'm just fucking tired because like it's like exam season. But I'll have to give you like the model and stuff. That's okay. I'll like do my little or are you gonna use your own silly little model? I'll use your model at first, and once people realize that it's not Cube, I'll pull up my model and be like, hey. Drag and drop DC Burgers instead? Into where? Where are we dragging DC Burgers? You know, Cube, we should have done that for April Fools. Oh, the portraits? Did you say it was my fault? It was my fault for... Oh, true, dude, yeah. Next year idea, I guess. Oh, I'm not waiting a whole year. You say it was my fault for sending you... for introducing you to Sunhaven? So your phone introduced me Sunhaven, make me suppose. But if we do it now, we won't do it next year. Do you want to save it for next year then? So save it now or next year. We wait for next year? Oh my gosh, a whole year. Oh, that's like 300 and... Wait, Dre, where did you say I have to drop it to? I have to drop it to the main portrait folder? Like just move it from here to there? Yeah, just the file itself, right? You should not talk and just add in the sick no mic today and just talk in chat only until people realize. Soon you do Ren's portraits. That would be so funny. But if you see like portraits, no. I only have these two portraits. If I do Girl Voice stream, tell them you have like a copy and paste the XNB files in the DC portraits. I think they might believe you if you play well enough. Like with the no mic one. No, with the girl voice. Ah. I know how to act like Cube. I can act like Cube. I'll write some catchphrases. Yes, sir. I'll tell them the titties are out. Get the XMB file and drop it in. Okay, hold on. Okay. Tell them today we are playing some Valorant, but we're playing on our friends. Actually, we already have a Valorant. Portraits, easy portrait. Get the XMB from these ones? These are JSON files. Do it right now. Act like me after you're done with modding. Oh. You're making me nervous. You should say something like I'm sick, so my voice is kind of funky. Yeah, dude. He just says some out of pocket shit. And then you talk about something like crazy you did. I know recently you've been going out a lot, like in the forest, or like didn't you like move or some shit? I forgot when Jason files go. You think I can still just move it from here just to like that one? To be honest, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about half the time. I just see, honestly, yeah. The PNGs are in the sprites. And no, I just changed where you done apprenticeship? You finished apprentice? Internship? Finished? Oh yeah, sprites. Yeah, sprites. These yeah, internship, like a 1 month one. New internship? Same place as portraits, instead open sprites instead of portraits this time. Like go to content. Okay. Content. Loose price. And I have another 3 to 4 months before I hopefully, fingers crossed. My wording could be a bit better, but it's okay. So it's not a simple copy and paste. Well, hold on. Cube, can I ask what you want to go in? Is that doxing you? Where do go? And unless you already told me this, and I'm fucking never mind. Characters. It was a bit outdated. Almost everything can be done using copy. She's like, thank you for your animation. You said, okay, yeah, you didn't help. No, I do software development. Oh, that's sad. It's so sad. I can't do it. It's very. Your accent's gonna disappear. Like, sorry guys, I lost my accent. Wanna work in a tech company or do like freelance? Oh, would you be able to mod? Check the zip file that you initially downloaded. The mod is missing manifest JSON. You'll find it in there. Move. Manifest JSON? What if I don't want to manifest JSON? What if I just want to manifest DC Burger working? I'm not really pressed for work. I don't really need much money. Oh, so you're rich? Can I get $3 for chicken nuggets? Work with Fury indie game devs? Like legit cook the hardest shit? He'll create like the next like big game. Okay, you know what? We're not even gonna worry about DC Burgers. We're just gonna play the game. We're just gonna play Stardew Valley. No more mods. I was thinking about that, modding games would also. Oh, can you create like a beginner how to mod setup? Lethal Company was made by Single Fury. What's a Fury? Isn't like a Fury a character somewhere? No, not really rich, more like don't have to pay for food and housing. Ah. So you gotta spare $3 for chicken nuggets is what I'm hearing? So I'm gonna just LMAO. It's okay. It's better than nothing. New character. I'll look into it because I'm also beginner. You would? For me? For little old me? You shouldn't have. Start with Mir. I thought they said start with minor. My goodness gracious. Fury, what you call people in fursuits? Oh, furry. Nah, you Siri. I'm dyslexic. I have 58 cents in my PayPal if you want it. Hey, that's something. You're the first person I've heard that used PayPal. Maybe because you're not American. What should the farm name be? For people who look like animals, who wear like those cost get-ups? Did you guys say you wanted to make money off of furries or some shit? Look, it's a pretty cat. This is very loud. I can't turn it down. I only use cash, no online money. Damn, you don't use cryptocurrency? I want a pretty cat. Eye color can be brown. To me. I would send it, but I think it would dox my name to you and your name to me. Oh, that's very true. It's okay. Save your, how many cents you had? 58 cents for later on. You gotta make a fake PayPal account. Should I have pigtails? That would be cute. LMAO. I got the black cat and named it Nico. You named Nico? It's not allowed here. What? What's not allowed here? Furries? It's a cute cat too. It's a cute cat. It's a cat. I just wear pants. Absolutely not. I do have one element. Crypto's not allowed? I made a fake PayPal and they asked for it. Really? I sent a picture with a different name. And they say, yep, looks right to me. I'm not even gonna lie to you, PayPal is not that serious with their what is it? With security and stuff. I've not used a shirt except for 27 or something. Whatever code the jacket is. 27? I don't know what code the jacket is. Oh, this one's cute. This one's 19. I want my hair to be down. What in God's good name? Who are you gonna romance this time? This kind of looks cute. Not 19. Me when I just name drop here randomly, guys. My real name is... I would be surprised if you guys don't know what my name is, because I've accidentally like content warning with content warning. Have fun with that, cube. Your name is Josh? I think Dre's name is Josh. Not 19. I forgot the code, but it looks like 19, but better. Ah. What is that doing? Hair. You know, I'm just gonna stick with the hair I always do. I'm not Josh, but the last two letters are right. Oh, so your name has... Have fun with that info? Oh. SH. I was bad at Wordle anyways. Meadow. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Not best for going cross, but there's a tree, bluegrass. You start with 2 chickens? But it said it's not good for crops. Let the guessing game begin? Does it have an eye? Start with mare? That's a slay. Farm name? No eyes? An E. How many letters are the name? 4? No, I can't fit the other E. I can't do sprinkle sprinkle, no E. An A. Any vowels, an A or an O. Oh, but there isn't. No, you didn't say no. I was never good at names. What's a good farm name? We'll name it what I named my starter. Maybe one more vowel. You said S or H? No E? An O? A, E, I. No I's, no E. An A or an O? I pressed back. I need to press okay. Okay, that's so sad. I don't know if it's the same as before, but we're speedrunning because I accidentally put the wrong thing in. I'll do this one because this one's actually kind of cute. How many accessories are there? I'll put blush. My eye color is a darker brown. There's a darker version of 19. It's the one I use. Is there? This one? 31? Maybe a vowel on the second letter. Dash? 31, yeah. 31 looks nice. The S and the H at the end is throwing me off. Should we do Meadows Farm? Or Standard Farm? Meadowlands? Not the best for growing crops. But I mean, we could still grow crops, no? Dash is. We'll do this one because we start off with 2 chickens. I keep pressing back. I need to stop pressing back. I get distracted. Meadowlands. Color, I did that one a bit darker. Scene color was always something I struggled with within games. I could just never get it right. We did 19. We did pants and we made, oh nope, we made it a bit darker. And accessories, we did the blush. Should I just make my hair straight black? I'll make my hair straight black. Just keep it chill. Middle farm. Dash is correct. Anyways, really? Anyways, have fun with that info. That's actually kind of cute. Savannah. Thank you for your gift. Because if I give the rest of my name, it'll pop up on Google. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you, Harry, for the gift sub. Look at my started character. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. 15, hey? You're so kind, Harry. How's work going? I don't know if your thingy is working. Oh, is your thingy working? How's work going? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I heard someone was moving. Oh, Haley. Isn't Haley the one who hated us? She thought we were gross, didn't she? Ah, yes. With her fashion sense. How do I use it? Oh! It's not letting me change my hair. It's okay. First, we do this. Harry, I need to show you a mewing bachelors. Oh my gosh, we could call you Dasher. Like, from, like, you know the reindeers? Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen and Comet and Cupid. Where are my chickens? Look! I know there was also this is such a cute barn. Look at my teeth. I've never had animals before. Mr. Wawad? Dally. What's this? What's this? Silo? It's my first time. It's so tiny. My first time having animal. Hell yeah. For which one? I've said a lot of stuff. For my chickens. Oh, you should have seen the pretty cat I chose. I chose the girly cat. Okay. We're gonna try and meet all of the characters within the first day. Is it gonna happen? Probably not. New people I introduced myself to, also Hamlet. Like, really? The reindeers? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny. Open the door! Hi, Mari. No, it's okay. I could just do Min's portrait. Hello! Hello, Governor. Open your doors right now. Oh, I don't want to look in my mirror. Funnily enough, you're not the definitely not. It would be so. Oh, hi, child. Oh, I didn't mean to give you that. Vincent, tell your brother to open the door. Hello. You can talk to Shane. Can I? Isn't Shane at work though? Where's Shane? Leah's there. Shane's gone to work. Gross. He walks around this hour to Jojo Mart. He done gone to Jojo Mart. Look at the cows. Never mind, it's already at Jojo. Dude is ready for work. Oh, she's in her house? That's gross. You know who we can talk to? Definitely not Sebastian. Is Elliot in his house? Everyone's in their house. No, we can still... Do you think Shane... Actually, no. Shane won't have his Jojo Mart outfit on. Same with Elliot. Okay. If Elliot's on his walk... Who's that? Who are you? Oh, Mayor Lewis. Shane won't show the portrait when in Oh yeah, because it said he's working. Shane's a bit busy right now. Idiot, open the door. What time does Elliot come out again? I don't know the schedule. I love the little fishies in the water. I love how I memorized each and every one of them for playing. Yeah. And you can see in the portrait in the mirror. As someone who like struggles to get fish, it makes it a lot easier. Ellie comes out at 12. Okay, we got 30 minutes. We'll walk around the. We'll check if they have any artifacts on the ground. Oh, look! Speaking of artifacts, that's just clay. It's okay. It's still something. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I might add that for stairs because I memorized the fishes already. Oh, damn, darling. Wait, what'd you say you were gonna add? Estarian. Shh. Don't even look. Hey, hi Nico. How are you? I didn't know he calls you darling. Damn. What did he say? Did he call us a snack? Oh, is it because it's a Starion? The fish in the thingy? It's called visible fish. I'm kind of Elliot doesn't call you darling, Astarion does. I'm kind of liking what he's putting down. I use these. We don't talk about. I might keep him as. Oh, look. The new guy? Did I not change my gender? I gotta start over. I didn't change my gender. What the fuck? You did not. No. And you know the funny thing? I was looking at, there's a certain like TikTok. I was wondering when you would find out. You're so sick for not telling me earlier. You're actually so cool for that. So there was this thing on TikTok that said, if you date Shane as like a dude, you get a whole like different dialogue. And although I'd be for that, I'm not for that. Well, it was funny. So you're evil, I tell you. I should have had Faye put you on timeout. 30 seconds. To jail. This top does not make me look very feminine. Dating Alex as a dude changes George's view. Who's George again? Sad? It's okay, don't be sad. We won't put you on timeout. Is George homophobic? Is that why? George's the old man. Oh, that George. Yeah. He comes off as not very cool. He's homophobic because his generations accept. Yeah. Honestly, that's pretty cool. Okay, Slay, we're female. Yeah. Cute cat. Or should I do the brown cat? I feel like this cat is too feminine for me. Not too feminine. We'll do this cat. He says something like, well, I guess it's just me stuck in it. Oh, that's so cute. He started learning how to open up. Oak dresser? Slay. Thank you for my mirror, Haley. Can I put my mirror? I can't put my mirror here. Okay, my mirror's just stuck in my pocket. You can intercept. He should reach Georgia at 9 AM? Okay. I'm gonna give my chicken some love. I need to download. There's like a mod that is able to automatically open the doors. These animals are so fucking cute. Okay, we're gonna go intercept Shane. Should we date Shane? But I think this might be a have to go around type of energy. Nope. Oh fuck me. I'm panicking. Where is it? I took the long way. Okay, we go back. We go this way. No, I won't go for Shane. Not even his mewing side. I don't like how Eric didn't give him character development after marriage. Is that the game developer? No, Shane. I don't know, why are you talking to me? Because you kinda cute. Anyways, we'll wait till he goes far enough. And we hate the people who don't develop after marriage. Marnie. He says something like I quit drinking, but his room is full of beer cans. Marnie, please. You're having an affair with the mayor, that's what you're doing. Maybe he's like slowly moving the beer cans like out of his house. I don't have a fishing rod. I want to fish. We're gonna visit Vince. Oh, slay. His room looks ugly. Who do you think has the best room, Dre? It's okay, Vincent. You get fishing rod day 2 if there is a rainy day guaranteed. I see. You know what I want to do? We need to romance someone before the first spring dance. Haley's in her room. Okay, no one's out in the open. Best room depends on the aesthetic you want. Ah. I feel like I should go for someone other than Sebastian. What if we went for Alex? But Alex objectifies us. Because Emily has one of the more number rooms and You think he'll see me? Okay, he won't see me. Look at him. There's grandma head shake. Grandma. Hi, Granny. Okay. What if we went for Sam? He's a skater dude. He's a cute little skater dude. Alex's room is silly. Alex's room just has dumbbells. Hi, George. Okay, you just keep saying the same thing. Marnie, we've already talked to. Hey, it's Miss Coco. Yep, that's me. Abigail has a fun room. You reckon Abigail will let us play her video games with her? Where's your mother? Where's Caroline? Coraline? Or, oh my gosh, we should date Harvey. I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok, but is it Hoser? he came out with this, I don't know if it's called like Too Sweet or whatever the song was, and everyone and their mothers went crazy over that song. I think we should romance Harvey. Seb is cool too. Sebastian is really cool. It's just that I always go for Sebastian, but I never get past like the most I've done. His smile is so pretty. The most I've done is like the second year, and I went for Sebastian every time. So I feel like I need to just branch out. If you want to have a D&D table next to your bedroom, that would be cool though. Okay, it's either between Harvey or Alex. Not Alex. Harvey or Sam. Hi, Pam. Okay. We should meet... Okay, let's go meet up with Elliot. Or Astarion. Harvey's room is cool too, but it definitely looks like a normal room. It's too bland in my... I know there's like mods that allow you to I might even go for Elliot as in his like Astarion form just because of the things he's gonna say. I know there's like a mod or like things where you're able to like change up your characters, like the character's default room. Such a shame I enjoyed snack. Enjoyed having snacks in those. Oh, we're gonna have to do like a raffle pull. Elliot's room is good. Okay, Slay. It's either between Elliot or Harvey. Who will we go try and meet next? Have we already talked to her? Yeah, we have. You talked to Alex? Emily? Where's this? Isn't that a thingy? Harvey had planes on shelves. Elliot has a library. Oh? I really want a library though. Damn, that's a hard decision. Emily? Okay, Emily's... Did we already talk to Granny? Yeah, we have. It might just have to be like a coin flip. When is your where's Haley? This is gonna be hard. Is it even possible to meet everyone in the first? I'll do the coin flip. Yes, please. I think whichever one. I feel like I only want to do Elliot because of his like Astarion counterpart. She takes pictures. That makes it so much cool. Which side is which? Heads Elliot, tails Harvey. I feel like I'm just a Harvey girl because of the TikTok trend. And the pictures. Caroline, hello. My head was on heads. So heads? What did I say? Heads Elliot? But I'll do a real coin flip. Okay. Harvey, look at Harvey. Yeah, heads is Elliot. Okay. I might invalidate your coin flip though, depending on what side it goes on. Heads? Okay, I'm gonna do Harvey. No, okay, we'll stick with Elliot, and then I'll do a personal run that'll do Harvey. I have to be truthful. Oh, Sebastian, before he goes back in his room. Some about the snake bites. I might just invalidate everything and just go for Sebastian again. Okay, so what does Elliot like? Doesn't Elliot become like a famous writer? It's your game. I like both of them, that's the thing. Can't I download a mod which allows me to date the both of them? Would that be wrong? Okay, they do. Where's Linus? Elliot loves black ink. How am I gonna get black ink? Sebastian likes sashimi. I know Sebastian likes sashimi. I have Sebastian down to like a T. Or like most of a tea. He likes sushi. Doesn't he like dragon eggs? And he likes frozen tea or whatever it was. What is this? Oh, an artifact. How did I mess this up thrice? It's okay, you're EP. Harvey loves coffee? Ah. Okay, ready to talk to Shane. I need Gunther. I need Sam. Where's Sam? Sam's in Times Square. We're in. No, you're back at your house? Oh, he's probably doing kickflips. Oh, I haven't talked to Leah yet. Okay, slay. Oh, you fucking piece of shit. He went into his house. Duck feather, crab cakes, lobster, duck feather, black ink. That's gonna... Isn't lobster difficult to get? Oh, look, her glasses. That's actually so cute. I feel like I haven't played this game in a while. I don't even know her glasses. Isn't the museum closed by now? Why is there a squirrel over there? Oh, we just missed it. Museum closes at 6. Oh, that's so sick. Lobster just spam crab chops on the beach. It's gonna take a while for me to build those. Don't the three of them come here to hang out? Honestly, we did pretty good for the first day. We could have gotten Clint if I went a bit earlier. How do I know all this timing stuff after taking a long break? Honestly, Jay, it's one of those things that you never lose. Like, it just always sticks with you. The wizard, you can't actually meet the wizard until later on. This dude you don't meet until the second year. So technically we only needed 3 more people. Oh, this is Sam. I thought that was his father. He looks so much like his father. Where's Clint? Oh, Clint is in front of Pierre's house. I think we can meet Clint. Doesn't Clint go to have a drink? Same with glitches I found in Skyrim, Fallout, Minecraft too. Oh? Glitches. Is that to make the things? Oh, Clint. You know what? I might date Emily just to make Clint upset. Oh, the houses are closed. Don't the houses close at 8 o'clock? Yeah. I don't like Clint. Me either. Isn't Clint like mean or something? Willie? Does Willie go to the pub? He's so stuck on Emily if y'all are married. Doesn't he like... I feel like I'm over like... Okay, Willie's not here. Blowing this out of proportion. Does he get like upset at you when you're married to Emily? Willie shows up on day 2. Ah, so Willie you just can't meet. That's sad. It was close. I feel like if we timed it better, we could have met almost everyone. Okay, we're gonna... My pocket's full? My pockets are full. No, I can mine some wood. Do we have to feed the chickens every day? He's not really upset, but he thinks he has a chance at Emily. While you guys are married? He probably has like voodoo dolls in his room and is preying on your guys' like marriage, like breaking up. We're gonna mine some of these trees. The copium on this fella is the hopium. He's just a simple guy in love with a girl that he can never have. You don't need to feed the chickens, you just need to feed them so they grow. Oh, so once they finish growing, we're fine? Did I mine any rocks? Okay, we're not gonna do the rocks. Oh. Okay, okay. 10:15. Oh, we could keep going. We need to clean out this area anyways. You don't... Once they finish growing, you feed them so they produce better quality stuff. Oh, like eggs? I'm so sorry. I'm new to like the farmer, like the actual like farming like animal aspect. Cause I never had enough money to make animals. I need some torches. Goddamn. When is bedtime? Isn't it 2 a.m.'s bedtime? Poultry is my lowest knowledge in this game because I'm lazy. Honestly, Trey, same. I got most of my stuff from like the mines, even though the mines kind of scare me. And like the occasional like crops, but also crops were never my strong suit either. It's just I've never stayed on this game long enough to build like a strong basis on it. You should. Oh, okay, that makes sense. There's a chair near the fire. Oh, bedtime is 2 a.m. You know what? Okay, this is just, you don't get max energy stupid. I've seen there's a thing like a mod that you get after like the next I keep finding cool stuff. My backpack is full. Don't you need 2,000 for that? It doesn't completely go in. What was I trying to say? Fuck Pierre, I hate Pierre. What? Why don't you like Pierre? There's a mod that after you've updated your house to like the second upgrade, you get a bathroom, and the bathroom has like a tub, and it like does the same thing as like the spa does, where it gives you like all of your energy back. And I found that so efficient, especially if you're the type of person to go to bed later than usual. So that might be something I look into soon. I feel like Pierre just wants you for your money. You reckon we should go the Jojo Mart route? This is our space for... Okay, we gotta start getting... A capitalist piece of shit who's hiding money from he's hiding money from his family. He's asshole to his daughter, and when you sell shit to him, he sells it back to the villagers and takes credit. Damn, he does? So fuck Pierre. Pierre's the only reason I want to go Jojo Mart. Have you ever done the Jojo Mart route, Cherry? Okay, oh, there's another one? Hello, okay, Willie's here. We need to go meet Sam. We need to go meet the child and Willie, but I don't have space in my thing for the fishing route, so Willie might have to wait for tomorrow. So Sam and Jasmine, and then we need to go talk to Harvey. And Jasmine is in Marnie's house. Sam is still in his bed. No, I can't make other villagers sad because I hate Pierre. But if I get pissed at him, that might change. Oh. I feel like the Jojo Mart route would be cool if Jojo Mart didn't have like their entire like getup just like labeled. Like everything's just labeled Jojo Mart, which I guess is kind of like in brand. You reckon? Oh, there's more. You reckon we can get free hospital visits if Harvey becomes our husband? You're young? Is there an age gap? Jojo Mart is the easy way out, and Mino like easy ways. Ah. I agree. Someone's birthday's coming up, isn't it? Local catfish population? I can't do that right now. Whose birthday? Okay, Lewis's birthday. Books. This is so dangerous because then I'm gonna start playing this like 24/7. Oh, I lost space for that. Nah, Harvey still charges you shit. Damn. What's this? Red plate. What? Next day it'll rain and you can catch. Oh, should I still accept it? I need a bigger backpack or a chest. Granny, since you're so interested in my husband, he really likes leeks. Okay, I wasn't interested in the first place. But catfish is a bit to catch. Maybe that's why it's called catfish. Cause it scams you. Catfish is my first nemesis. Oh no, and it's still my fun little rival. Oh my goodness. Dre versus the catfish. Who will win? Is the salon open? It's the saloon. I'm just gonna call it the pub. Doesn't it open at 12? Catfish sells for a lot. Oh, so they recommend. Oh, okay, we're gonna skip that. Do I need the mucil? I could have sold it. Doesn't it just drop to the side? Can I just drop it to the side? No, you dropped in the water. That's why I like when it rains, because they spawn when it's I just like them because they look cute. Elliot! Slay. Need something? Yeah, you? No, then stop bothering me. Damn, okay. I'll go to Harvey because Harvey— what? Why was he upset? Oh, okay, I need to go to the thingy. Where's Sam? Sam's still in his house. My goodness gracious. I need to go here. And then we'll go try and meet Sam. And then we've met everyone. Hi, Gunther? What's his name again? Gunther? Donate to the museum. Play. I can't meet you from back there? Slay. Okay, we can buy Harvey a coffee now. And I don't have water to water crops, so I go straight to fishing. Honestly, that's smart. I feel like fishing is I shouldn't have. Fishing is more rewarding. No, don't get in my pockets. How close is the radius to... Okay, there we go. Gunther, my man. You don't need to meet him, by the way. He's not an NPC? Where's the coffee? We're starting this off early, girls. And then we need to get a coffee machine. Fishing is quite difficult for casuals. But Dre, here's the thing. You're not a casual. Sorry, Granny. I need to give Harvey something. My favorite stuff is like you've in my mind. You're welcome. Okay. Gunther's an NPC for Stardew Valley. Would you recommend Stardew Valley Expanded, Jay? Look, the girls are doing their exercise. I need to go meet Sam. My goodness. I'm not a casual, yes. Everything I do and breathe has to generate profit or I'm wasting it. Jay is like the living, breathing version of like, it's about drive, it's about power. Sam! Oh my goodness. Yes, Stardew Valley Expanded is really good. Is it easy to download? Would you recommend me to download it? Is it like I can just like drag and drop, or do I have to like code it or something? Okay, we're close to Sam. Sammy! Ain't no way, he's never stood here. It's the piercings and the necklace. I can't. I just can't. I can't. It's Harvey, and then there's Elliot, and then there's fucking give someone a gift. I just gave Harvey a gift. It's a good extra part Stardew Valley with fun new NPCs. Isn't there like a pink-haired NPC or something? My purse is hungry and it oh my gosh, that's so silly. Bro said his purse is hungry. Yeah, it's the easy drag and drop files. You just drop it in mods and boom. Just in mods and okay, slay. I'll download it after this. I romance Sophia in that mod because she's cute. Oh, this is the wrong one. Twig? Oh, I haven't petted them today. Chest. I chest, you chest, we all chest. We chest this. Yes, feel love with all my heart. I totally didn't marry her for her sprinkler empire. Sprinkler empire? Well, that's a story you gotta tell me, Dre. Don't we need these for Scarecrows. I need to clean out this area. Oh, I need to swipe you guys. I need to start getting more hay. She sells sprinklers? Does she sell you discounted sprinklers because you're dating her? Or she like gives you sprinklers as like your wedding present? For your birthday, she's like, have some sprinklers. Should I not have cut all of those? It's okay. I wonder what happens when we get more animals. This little thing, cute as fuck. And me lazy, and lazy me loves sprinklers. Honestly, sprinklers are just God's gift to Stardew Valley. Especially because she sells them for quite a cheap price. And oh, yeah, you shouldn't have cut those. It's okay. Wouldn't it grow back? I'll figure out a way to deal with them. I mean, I could restart the day. That's too much work. Where did all of my other wood go? Oh, did I use it to create the chest? It won't grow back. So should I restart the day? Whoops. She sells quality sprinklers. $500 is a lot of money difference. Now you'll be fine. Whoops, it's okay. It's just a lot easier. I will start off my day by doing this, and then we make a chest. We'll put the chests and all of our stuffs. Can I at least break like the wood? To like give them more space to roam? Or like the rocks? I should clear out this area. And then... oh, fuck. Look at that. We just get rid of these while we're here. And then we'll put these here. I mean, I guess I'll keep you guys. I'll finish this day off, and then I'll probably head off from there so I can start doing my homework. Slowly, I will be able to get more time to then stream more, which is gonna be really exciting. Sorry, Shane. Whoops, me go eat now. Yes, Jay. I was wondering when you were gonna go to sleep. It's getting late. And I goes, good night, Jay. Thank you for stopping by and for helping me with the game. Getting everything. I'm gonna download the fucking expanded thing. And then figure out how to fix the DC Burger portrait. Are you guys... I forgot what I did within this day. I know I searched the trash cans. I bought... oh, Shane. Why is Shane here? I just want to search the trash cans in peace. Okay. And then I got a coffee for Harvey. Alex is up pretty early. And I went to talk to Harvey. The pub opens at 12. Maru. Okay, that's all I wanted. I accepted this. There's something else I did. New to the beach. Vision to beach childhood before. Okay. Visit Gunther at the museum. Introductions. Where's the child? Oh, Jasmine is gonna be the thing. Is Sam out of his room? No. Okay, here's Jasmine. And then we go to the beach. And then we give artifact. We skip beach. We get our pole. There was stuff on the beach. I don't know if there's still gonna be things on the beach. There is. I'm not gonna talk to Elliot because Elliot seems to be grumpy with us. And that's no bueno. Oh, let's talk to Lewis. I don't know if it works. I downloaded a female. There was like a female Lewis mod. I want to download that. Soleil, hi Gunther. I have something for you. Let's just put that here and we'll fix them as we. Oh, let's talk to Penny and Vincent. This is already here. Miss Penny says I have to read this book before I can go play. Oh. And then Sam still in his house. I wish they like specified whether the characters are like in their room. They're not. I can. No, the thing only opens at 12. I was gonna say I can buy the coffee now and then go visit Ivy. But the pub doesn't open till 12. That's 20 minutes. Let's see if Sam is outside of his room. And that's one less thing to worry about. Sam is playing his guitar. Is anyone here outside? Haley! No, Haley's not even in here. It's funny that once you get their 2 hearts, they allow you to like go in their rooms and do anything with their stuff. Even if they're not home. I found that a bit funny. You need a drink? I need a coffee. Thank you. It said give a gift to someone. I think it's the gifts is after. Okay, we'll wait until we meet Sam first. And then we'll give the gift after that. So it allows for... Oh, she's not in a good mood. Okay. Does she like coffee? I can't not click the thing twice, even if the person doesn't want to talk. There's just 6 of them? My arms are strong, but my legs need work. Don't look, I'm all red and sweaty, sorry. At least the girls get their work in. They go to the gym. Sam is still in the house. Sam's like any like usual gamer, they're just in the house all day long. Oh, slay. One thing that would be good is having like a schedule thing like inside the game. Getting started. Harvest gives someone a gift. Okay, slay. This is where we go visit Harvey. Pretty sure this closes at 3. I wonder if we can visit in here even. Oh, Maru. Sorry. I'm trying to. Okay, go. Sorry, Harvey. Is it an emergency? Why are you here? Yeah, I just want to give Harvey. You're welcome. Oh, this is the wrong section. Can I open the TV? Slay. Okay, that pays off for a good amount of what we just spent on his coffee. Harvest and egg creamer. Honestly, don't know how to do that part. That's probably it for now, really. I wasn't expecting to do much on this day. I could talk to... I talked to almost half the town. Linus? Would Linus like a field snack? Let's see if Linus would like this field snack, and then we could end that off for today. A leek? Doesn't George like leeks? I know Linus would definitely like the red plate, but I'm gonna save that. This doesn't really do much for me. Oh, you didn't like it? Well, I thought you would enjoy it. It's okay though. Demetrius. Is your son out of his bedroom? No, he's not. It would be cool if like there was a thing that told you if like they're in their bedroom or not. That would have made this so much more easier. We're gonna have to plan this before the spring dance. Like, gifts to Harvey like every day. Well, we can only give him like 2 gifts a week. But you know. My inventory's full? Okay, I gotta sell some stuff. We'll sell this, we'll sell this, we'll sell you. We'll keep the league because I feel like the league is important. I'm gonna keep you, we'll put you out. Put you, and then we'll bring you back. I'm gonna put you there. Money is of the essence, and we need essence and money. I feel like we're gonna clear out this area. I'll clear out this tree as well. And then wait until those tree goes in. I always wish there was a sprint button, but you're running it. This is how people, I don't know how people would walk around the place. You're already going the fastest you possibly can in this game. I'm gonna try and gather as much wood to then get that bridge built, because I think it's 300 pieces. So we're gonna try and get that done super speedy quickly. It might not be within the stream, but most definitely within like the first few days. I don't know if it's possible to get someone to like you enough to dance with them at the first flower dance. But we're sure as hell gonna try. I need to work on getting a stronger axe. That also is one thing we need. You're starting to feel exhausted? Okay. Maybe 2 more. Or 3 more. Maybe like 4. Like 5. Okay. Oh, no. I need to empty my pockets. Hold on. Do that. We'll do that. And we'll keep the stone. Because I feel like we need stone later on. Oh, we can sell the stone to Robin, can't we? I know if we sell the stone to Robin for more. So tomorrow's day, whenever I get to it, is about fishing. And talking to people. Okay. I'm going to end it there. Before I just start playing for like 5. Oh, the names are still Katsumon. Before I just start naming the names really like speed fast. But thank you guys for stopping. It's naming everything. Thank you guys for stopping by today's stream. It was definitely a stream. It was not. It was long. It goes. The stream always ends up going longer than I expected because I just end up losing track of time. Next stream is going to be. When is it going to be? Next Friday, because I work on Saturday, and then I have an assignment due next Sunday. So probably next Friday. We'll do 1 stream a week until like school ends for me. The game we're gonna play, I couldn't tell you as of right now. Maybe a shooter game, maybe Valorant. We'll see. Or unpacking. No, unpacking would be a different one. But yes, thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you have a good rest of your day, good evening, night, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'll see you all next week. Or this week, next week. Bye bye.